A truly bizarre and unhinged morning for Donald Trump. But what else is new with this Trump regime? Donald Trump held a press conference in the Oval Office where he and his Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, a former Fox News host, announced that they were going to be having a successor to the F-35 jet, which they were going to call, surprise, surprise, the F-47. So as they're gutting Medicaid, as they're calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme, they say they're putting a lot of money into an F-47. But then Donald Trump started talking about his favorite topic, which is conquering Canada. He talked about how it was an artificial line that separates the United States and Canada, and he wants it, and he wants to take it now. Play this clip.
And very, very close.
No, there might be, but it would, you know, you have that artificial line that goes, that straight artificial, that looked like it was drawn by a ruler. Somebody with I don't mean a ruler like a king, I mean like a ruler, this way. And it's just an artificial line that was drawn in the sand or in the ice. And, you know, and can I tell you, Peter, just you add that to this country, what a beautiful landmass, the most beautiful landmass anywhere in the world. And it was just cut off for whatever reason. It would be great. Now,
Donald Trump continues and says, look, no, I really mean it. I want Canada to become a state. I'm not joking. I want to take it over. Play this clip.
Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. They have up to 400%. They have a couple of tariffs at 400%. Nobody knows that. Nobody talks about that. And remember, with Canada, we don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything from Canada. And yet it costs us $200 billion a year in subsidy to keep Canada afloat. So when I say they should be a state, I mean that. I really mean that. Because we can't be expected to carry a country that is right next to us on our border. It would be a great state. It would be a cherished state.
Look, he couldn't be more clear about what he's saying. And as I've reported before, Canada's responding in kind. They are boycotting America. They are boycotting tourism, boycotting American products. And they are now doing military deals with Australia and Europe to start building up its defenses against the United States. I mean, it's a horrifying thing that I even have to say that, but that's what the Trump regime has done to the United States. Also, bizarrely, Donald Trump posted this morning. He goes, I love King Charles. This sounds good to me. This is a real post from Donald Trump. This isn't AI. And he's posting an article from The Sun, which says King Charles makes secret offer to Donald Trump. And the secret offer is to make the United States of America part of the Commonwealth and to make King Charles the king of the United States. I mean, I don't think this is even a real article in terms of, I'm not sure the veracity of the claim that that's actually the secret offer, but Donald Trump says he loves this idea. So I guess make America first, or make America great means make America a monarchy again. Hey, Donald Trump always loves kings. And I guess that's what I don't know. How bizarre is that? That's what he's posting this morning. Then Donald Trump is asked, Russia continues to attack Ukraine. You claim that there was going to be a ceasefire over energy infrastructure. That's not happening. Putin's not doing anything that you said he was going to do. And so what's your response to that? And of course, Donald Trump's like, no, there's a ceasefire. He goes, there's a ceasefire over a lot of areas. Here, play this clip.
Russia continues to attack Ukraine. Are you planning to impose any sort of sanctions?
Well, they're fighting against each other. I think we have a ceasefire on a lot of areas, and so far that's all held very well. And
Donald, the people living in Odessa and other cities throughout Ukraine would disagree. You're being played by Putin, but you know that you are Putin's puppet. You are Putin's pawn. And it's just so obvious. Donald Trump is then asked about whether or not he's extorting law firms and basically attacking law firms in executive orders like Paul Weiss, and then making them do deals to give him free legal services or pro bono services. And Donald Trump says law firms like to make deals. So yeah, they want to do deals. Play this clip.
Up the lands, et cetera, et cetera. It's being negotiated as we speak.
What do you say to critics who say that your actions towards law firms amount to coercion?
Well, the law firms all want to make deals.
By the way, shame on Paul Weiss, that horrific law firm, and any associate or partner who works at this law firm. And I know a lot of people there may be watching this, or people who work at big law watch this. I used to be a lawyer at a boutique law firm. I used to do cases, though, a lot with big law people. I went to Georgetown Law. I have a lot of people in my class who work at big law. The conduct by Paul Weiss, in my view, is absolutely pathetic, and it is embarrassing that they made a deal with Donald Trump because he put them in an executive order where they attack their own partner who worked for them, and then said they would do $40 million of pro bono legal services. Shame on Paul Weiss. I had to say that. What a despicable law firm. And anybody who works there shares that shame right now. Here, Donald Trump is asked about deporting people who tamper with Teslas to El Salvador. And Donald Trump says, I view you, if you do anything to Teslas, he goes, I view you as a terrorist. And yeah, maybe play this clip.
You said this morning, 20 years in jail, and then maybe they'll go to one of these prisons in El Salvador. Do you think with the way that the judges have been issuing injunctions, it would be easier or harder to send these Tesla domestic terrorists to a jail in El Salvador than these MS-13 or Tren de Aragua guys?
Well, I view these people as terrorists just like others. When I looked at those showrooms burning and those cars, not one or two, like 7, 8, 10 burning, exploding all over the place. These are terrorists. You didn't have that on January 6th, I can tell you. You didn't have anything like that on January 6th, which is sort of amazing because on January 6th, the Democrats were talking. Nobody was killed other than a very beautiful young woman, Ashley.
By the way, Donald Trump also was making posts earlier in the day and last night saying that if he goes, I look forward to watching these sick terrorist thugs get 20-year jail sentences for what they are doing to Elon Musk and Tesla. Perhaps they could serve them in the prisons of El Salvador, which have become so recently famous for such lovely conditions. The Trump regime is now making ISIS-style videos where they're taking people who they call gang members because they fit the Trump regime's view of what a gang member is and throwing them into concentration camps in El Salvador. We've heard stories, for example, a professional soccer player who fled the Maduro regime as political exiles, asylum seekers who was here lawfully. He had a Real Madrid tattoo, and he had given a hand signal that meant peace and love. And the Trump regime took him from his family, sent him into a concentration camp in El Salvador, and who knows if he's even alive anymore or what's happened to him. That is the state of the United States of America right now under the Trump regime. No wonder people like Charlie Angus in Canada and in the UK and Germany and elsewhere are issuing travel advisories for their citizens. Be careful if you go into the US, or we recommend you don't go to the US. You may end up in concentration camps in El Salvador. J.D. Vance was in the room during this bizarre press conference, and he was asked what his thoughts were. And JD goes, ooh, planes, pretty cool. I like planes. Here, play this clip.
That's the other thing. Energy is going to be like it's never been before. Mr. Vice President is here. Do you have anything to say while you're here? He's a very good Vice President.
I'm just here to watch the show, sir. Okay. I think airplanes are pretty cool, so I wanted to go check this out.
It is cool.
Are you looking for something simple and delicious to add to your wellness routine? I used to rely on regular honey for my breakfast tea and even salad dressings. But then I found Manacora, and let me tell you, it puts all other honey to shame. Manacora honey is rich, creamy, and the most delicious honey I've ever had. The best part, it's ethically produced by master beekeepers in the remote forests of New Zealand. These bees collect nectar from the Manuka tea tree, which is packed with bioactives, giving Manacora 3 times more antioxidants and prebiotics than your average honey. Each morning, I start my day with a heaped teaspoon of Manacora, letting the creamy texture melt in my mouth and coat my throat. And it's not just a treat, it's packed with powerful nutrients to support my immunity and gut health. And here's something that sets Manacora apart. It contains a special antibacterial compound called MGO, which comes from the Manuka tea tree. Manacora tests every harvest for MGO, and you can see the results yourself through their QR system. It's a honey with superpowers. Whether you're adding it to your food or enjoying it straight off the spoon, it's a game changer. Now it's easier than ever to try Manacora honey. Just head to manacora.com/Meidas, that's MEIDAS, to get $25 off the starter kit, which includes an MGO 850 plus Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, and a guidebook. That's manacora.com/Meidas for $25 off your starter kit. Start your mornings with Manacora. You'll never go back to ordinary honey.
Pretty cool. I like airplanes. The hell is even going on here? And by the way, you know why he calls it an F-47, right? As opposed to F-36 would be the one that goes after 35. Then Pete Hegseth just starts glazing Elon Musk. Elon Musk is an innovator. Elon Musk is the greatest. We love Elon Musk here. We love him. The hell? Play this clip.
Elon Musk is a patriot. Elon Musk is an innovator. Elon Musk provides a lot of capabilities our government and our military rely on, and I'm grateful for that. We welcomed him today to the Pentagon to talk about DOGE, to talk about efficiencies, to talk about innovations. It was a
Donald Trump is then asked if he believes he has the authority to round people up and deport them and not give them process. And Donald Trump goes, yep, that's the law. I can do what I want. Play the clip.
It didn't happen.
Mr. President, do you think you have the authority, the power to round up people, deport them, and then you're under no obligation to a court to show the evidence against them?
Well, that's what the law says, and that's what our country needs, because we were, unfortunately, they allowed millions of people to come into our country, totally unvetted, totally unchecked. So you ought to ask, did he have the authority to allow millions of people? Did Biden have the authority to do something that's unthinkable?
Then Donald Trump calls Tim Walz, Governor Walz, a loser.
I don't know if you saw this. Tim Walz is now saying about Trump supporters, and forgive me, I'm just reading a quote from Tim Walz. I think I could kick most of their ass.
Oh boy, he'd be in trouble.
Is there any way to know?
Well, he's a loser. You know, I mean, the guy's a loser. He lost an election. He played a part. You know, usually a vice president doesn't play a part, they say. I think Tim played a part. I think he was so bad that he hurt her. But she hurt herself, and Joe hurt them both. They didn't have a great group, but I would probably put him at the bottom of the group.
Have you heard that Biden wants to get back involved for Democratic politicians, fundraising and campaigning against your policies?
I hope so.
And then Pete Hegseth, after all of that, has the audacity to say, under the previous administration, we looked like fools, but we don't look like fools anymore. I think you look like the biggest fools. The world is, our enemies are laughing at you. Our allies are horrified at you. Play this clip.
Under the previous administration, we looked like fools. Not anymore. President Trump has reestablished American leadership. The F-47 is part of it. And Mr. President, thank you for having the courage to do it and leading the way for all our warfighters.
Thank you.
While this is going on, what else is going on throughout the nation? Just take a look. People get that these Trump tariffs and these Trump disastrous economic policies are going to hurt them. For example, take a look at this Pennsylvania butcher. Play this clip.
Here, this is all domestic. But as you know, you used to work at Costco. The big chains, they get a lot of their beef from Canada and Mexico. If you get a 25% tariff on that, what's that do?
Oh, it's going to increase the price. It's going to, the consumer's going to pay for it.
You on board with that?
Well, listen, I mean, you have no choice in a way. I mean, my philosophy is to sell it as low as you can to show a savings, a value to the customer, and hopefully you have more customers to generate your revenue.
Also, Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, billionaire Howard Lutnick, the guy who was yesterday on the news saying people need to buy Tesla stock to pump up the stock. And he goes, everyone should also consider buying in the future $30,000 Tesla robots. Yes, Trump regime, as you're gutting people's Medicaid, as you're calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme, as you're firing veterans, as you're engaged in cruel and inhumane treatment of American citizens and of others in general, as you're throwing people in concentration camps as well. Yes, buy $30,000 robots. But here Howard Lutnick is asked on this podcast, this bro podcast on like finances called All In, where they talk about how rich they are, or like, well, how much money you making? You got millions of dollars. I got me. Whatever they're talking about. Howard Lutnick is asked, do you think that you should be more empathetic about how you talk about Doge and Doge destroying people's life? And Howard Lutnick goes, no. Why would I be more empathetic? This is what the American people want. They want to be treated like this. Play this clip.
Before we get there, I want to ask one last question on the cuts. Can we speak do we need to speak in a more empathetic way? Because that $1 trillion of spending flows into someone's pocket. Some percentage of that pays people a salary and they live on that income. And I think a lot of this is important for you to highlight, because a lot of people are reacting.
Watching these oligarchs, watching these billionaires say, this is how people want to be treated and you shouldn't be more empathetic. These people are disgusting humans. These people are vile people. These Trumpers, there's no other way to say it. Let's not mince words. These are disgusting people. Here, Howard Lutnick talks about, if a Social Security check doesn't come, whatevs. My mom wouldn't, my mother-in-law wouldn't care. Play this clip.
Let's say Social Security didn't send out their checks this month. My mother-in-law, who's 94, she wouldn't call and complain. She just wouldn't. She'd think something got messed up, and she'll get it next month.
Yeah.
A fraudster always makes the loudest noise, screaming, yelling, and complaining.
Huh? Seriously? They're also doing things like this. This news broke. I'm sure you've heard about it. How a promising advance in the fight against Alzheimer's could be threatened by Doge cuts. Play this clip.
A promising advance in the fight against Alzheimer's could be threatened by Doge cuts and funding delays. Researchers have developed an experimental drug that appears to delay symptoms in some people who are genetically destined to get the disease in their 40s or 50s. It is a first of its kind study, but early results have been encouraging. However, the NIH grant that researchers hoped would fund further research to save lives has been delayed, an example of how spending cuts and confusion in Washington are affecting critical scientific research.
And now our allies as well say that the United States is retreating from its push to enforce Russian sanctions. So these sanctions against Russia are not being enforced by the Trump regime right now. Horrific stuff, or a lot of them are not being enforced, allowing Russia to move its money and to do deals, which it wasn't allowed to do under the Biden administration based on the sanctions regime that is in place. What else was Donald Trump doing? I'm not even going to read this one. Attacking judges. These injunctions are unlawful. It's unfair that judges are saying that we can't kidnap people and then send them to concentration camps, and that they're delaying it. And it's just him whining over and over and over again about it. All caps. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.